page 14. Resident elk antlerless elk management and illegal weapon hunt 4481. Option for mule deer hunt 1331. We'll just stick with that one for now.
Not much comment. We had some sizable increases, and we've added tag quotas to Area 16 and 23. But you can see that in Area 10, we're kind of going to just let people run around during the deer hunt, hoping to stumble into the cow, doubling tags in that area in mid-season.
Okay. Questions or discussion by the board? I think the only one I had, Mike, and it came up in Lyon County, and it's probably necessarily addressed, but just a note for next year is on some of these management hunts, I think what the original intent was to match the date up with the main deer tag date. And I've had comments on either side about whether you should allow those cow hunters to hunt earlier or later than the regular cow hunters. And one suggestion that was made that might make sense next year is just to make a note if one of the season starts earlier than another, so people kind of know buyer beware wise in the application book. So just a note in the back of your mind, because I will probably forget it by the time we get to next February.
What, Chairman, during the season setting meeting, I do remember Carson City had brought up, and it's not the rifle hunt, but it was the muzzleloader hunt. So for the muzzleloader hunt, the deer muzzleloader season starts before the cow muzzleloader season starts. They asked you for a season change, and you did not support that, but I'll try to remind you next year. But the rifle hunt, the rifle deer hunters are 4 days, or the cow rifle hunters are out there October 1st, and then the cow management tags start October 5, 4 days later with the deer hunt. So that we do have the rifle and the archery seem to be good. It's just the muzzleloader hunt. The cow management hunters get the jump on the standard cow muzzleloader hunters.
Right, and that was the one where the concern was raised.
Yeah.
Just any other questions or discussion? County Advisory Board comment. Churchill, did you want to come up on this one?
Bryce Smith, Churchill County. Our recommendation was to maintain quotas at last year's level. These numbers really stood out to us here, these increases. And some of them are decreases, and we're not opposed to those. We're not concerned, our concern was not over-harvest of elk, the more the better, but those numbers, especially in the rubies, we're more concerned about the sportsman. Is he being sold something that he doesn't know he's getting with such low success rates? And that's fine. If they know what they're getting, that's fine, but it's a pretty expensive piece of paper to have in your pocket when you're deer hunting and you never see a cow elk. So have we educated the sportsmen enough to give out these numbers? Or are we going to have a lot of disappointed and upset people that we're throwing out these numbers of tags and the animals just aren't there? So that was our concern. Thank you.
Okay. County Advisory Board comment on 4481. Public input in Reno. Public input in Las Vegas.
5.
No comments in Las Vegas, Chairman.
Elko.
No comment in Elko.
Okay, bring it back to the board. Mike, what, just out of curiosity, do you remember the demand on that Area 10?
I just looked it up. So we had, and this demand it's page A34 in the status book in the appendix. It's only the first choice applicants and those that actually drew a tag regardless of hunter choice. 270 in the early, 217 in the mid, 240 in the late. So the other issue is, even though we have that demand, a lot of these hunters who put area 10 down on their deer application, they typically put it down, and I do it myself. It's my fourth or fifth choice. And there's going to be a lot of those tag holders that probably will not be drawing that area 10 deer tag, and therefore will not be drawing a cow management tag. So what's going to happen likely with that 400 tag quota in the early and the mid is they will just simply go unsold and will not be picked up. Unless we see a dramatic increase in demand.
Additional questions or comments? All right, if there's no further discussion, I would entertain a motion on Hunt 4481. Commissioner Moran?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try a stab at it here. Move to approve resident elk antlerless elk management any legal weapon hunt 4481 auction for mule deer hunt 1331 as recommended by the department with a change to 061, 062, 064, 066 through 068 early from 550 to 575.
Second. Okay, so the motion is to approve Hunt 4481 with one change, and that would be basically area 6 early going from 550 to 575.
Yeah, and my thoughts on that were in the discussion with Mr. Gray, is as we go down further, he had some issues possibly with the antlerless elk archery hunts and the Elko Cab recommendations on that. So what I'll possibly recommend as we get to that point would be to all we're doing basically would be picking up those 25 tags from those other hunts. So we have few hunters in the field, fewer during the few antlerless archery hunters. So we would be substituting tags. Is that clear enough, or does that confuse everybody?
I don't necessarily have an issue with it. Ken, is there any concern with that 25 tag increase? I mean, percentage-wise.
Yeah, for the record, Ken Gray, Department of Wildlife. I guess I'll talk about the archery hunters. If there was an increase in the Delk archery tags, a pretty substantial increase. We only had 1% hunter success last year. Out of 77 tag holders, I think only one was successful. And then the archery was also pretty low success rates. Our thought is Elko County has made their thoughts known that we're going to pull all stops to kill elk out. We took out the 061 muzzleloader season, cow season last year, pushed the 062 muzzleloader cow season to early September. And so our thought is, instead of having archery hunters out there chasing the cows around before the more successful hunters can get to them, we'd be better off putting those extra tags that Elko County wants into hunts that are more successful. So it's just simply like hunter success.
Additional questions or discussion on the motion?
Chairman, Mike Cox, if I may. So again, you're going to have to make the decision. Do you attempt to accommodate one wish, which is use a more successful weapon out there, or do you accommodate others that want to go out with a primitive weapon, as Churchill County had asked, and maintain those archery tags? So I know you'll see that we had a drastic reduction in the archery tags, in the standard archery cow elk tags at 6. We felt that we're not getting the success we need with that weapon class, and we do feel that we can be more successful with muzzleloader and rifle. And that is a unit group that kind of stands out from that uniquely. We definitely feel that cow archery hunters are, it's a fun hunt, let them get out there. But in that 06171, we did feel like it could hinder our overall success of elk harvest by putting a lot of archery hunters in there.
Okay. So again, just to bring it back, I mean, we're talking specific now, and we're getting a little ahead of ourselves, but
Right.
not too bad. But the motion on 4481, and I guess 25 tags to me is so minimal that I personally don't have a problem with it. But Commissioner Bliss, you had a comment?
Yeah, I just have a comment, and I agree with you, the 25 tags is very minimal, but, 550 tags is not. So, I don't want to get ahead of ourselves either on this, but I personally would almost rather give more opportunity to more sportsmen to get out there during the archery hunt. If the success is low enough, maybe raise that archery tags up to try to match the success that you want. And we could provide some more opportunity to more people to get in the field or in that particular hunt. The problem I have with, this belt program and belt program and everything is very successful, but the bottom line is it puts a lot of pressure on the deer hunters themselves. I mean, guys that don't have these tags, that are just solely hunting deer, deal with this pressure from the start of the season all the way to the end. Usually, if there isn't a season like this, you see the hunters start dwindling down at the end, and you have less hunters in the field, and people enjoy that. With what I've noticed with these hunts in Area 13 especially, and I can imagine all they have to do is spend one day in Area 6 and I would see it, it's like opening day every day of the season, and elk hunters generally don't hunt by themselves, whether it's a cow hunter or a bull hunter, maybe a few less with the cows, but I guess I just have a weak spot for the deer hunters that are dealing with the added pressure. And like you say, 25 tags is very small when you're talking about 550. But
Zelko, Cab, have any comment? This is kind of a discussion that evolved after your recommendations.
Yeah,
I don't know if this came up in your meeting or not, or.
no, this came up after the meeting, but we polled everybody, and we're all in agreement with what's going on here. Is, on a personal note, I did draw the belt tag in 6 last year, and it was an awesome hunt. We didn't have pressure from deer hunters and elk hunters, like what you're saying. It was actually an awesome hunt. Me and my daughter pulled it, and another guy from work pulled it. And the three of us hunted, all of us hunted together, and it was actually a good hunt.
Right, any other question or discussion by the board at this time? Commissioner Moran?
I do have one question, because I understand Commissioner Bliss's concern. However, I do believe, Mike, maybe you could clarify this. When you had those graphs yesterday on the management hunts, did it put, I thought, unless I saw it wrong, that it added, the management hunts added to the days hunted about 1 day or 1.5 days to the total number of days hunted? Do you remember?
That was it. That was about it. Yep.
Those graphs. Any further discussion or question on the motion specific to Hunt 4481? Okay, if not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries unanimously. So Mike, let's take on page 14, resident elk antlerless muzzleloader hunt 4176, together with page 15, resident elk antlerless elk management muzzleloader hunt 4476, option for mule deer hunt 1371. So we're gonna take the two
Okay.
muzzleloader hunts together. Try that.
The only thing I would add is we did have big increase for Area 10, the cow management tag. And, you know, I do think, although we don't have the ability to reduce the tag fee for this cow management hunt today, I just ask that we may consider that. But hopefully people do know what they're getting into, and that it is $120. And we're even at the $18 application fee, and chances of drawing are limited. So other than that, not a major change in muzzleloader cow muzzleloader tags from last year.
Questions or discussion by the board on these two hunts? All right, county advisory boards on 4176 and 4476.
For the record, Corey Lytle, Lincoln Cab, for the 4176 muzzleloader cow hunt, we just, in 241, 242, we wanted to go from 2 up to 3. 33% increase.
Shaw County Advisory Board.
Elko County Advisory Board, Fern Winder here. On the 4476 option, we just wanted to go from 061, 62, 64, from 20 up to 40 tags.
Any other county advisory boards on those two? Public comment in Reno? Public comment in Vegas?
No comment in Vegas.
Public comment in Elko?
No comment in Elko.
All right, I'll bring it back to the board. Any other questions or discussion? If not, I'd entertain a motion on hunts 4176 and 4476.
Chairman Drew, I'll make
Commissioner Blaze. Oh, I'm sorry. Commissioner Valentine, just making sure you guys are all awake. It's the echo.
Make a motion to approve resident outcome on this muzzleloader hunt 4176 with the following change to 241, 242 from 2 tags to 2 tags. And resident outcome on the self-management muzzleloader hunt 4476 option for mule deer hunt 1371. Approval with the following change 061, 062, 064, 066, 068. 20 tags to 40 tags.
All right, so I have a motion and a second to approve hunt 4176 with the one change at the bottom from 2 to 3 tags, and a motion to accept hunt 4476 as presented with one change at the top from 20 to 40. Everyone clear on the motion? Any questions or discussion? If not, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Motion passes unanimously. And we'll stay on page 15. Again, Mike, let's do the elk antlerless archery hunt 4111 and the option for mule deer 4411 together.
And I'm probably going to have Ken Gray come up and just discuss. We did have a sizable reduction in 6171 for 4111. And then also within the cow management archery hunt 4411, same commensurate reduction in the area 6 tag quota. But when you look at area 7, we need to harvest more cow elk. We actually had a sizable increase, so.
yeah, this is, I'm gonna touch on it again. And the biologists, again, felt that since we took the drastic steps in the muzzleloader season of eliminating the cow muzzleloader season in 06-1, with the idea of increasing success rates in our cow harvest, he felt that, the archery, again, archery success is low. You're getting, these elk are in open country. The more people we have harassing these elk, the more they're either pushing them out into Idaho or pushing them into the big group. So again, it's just taking basically the tags out of a less successful hunt and putting them more into a more successful hunt, just to facilitate the success rates to get to objectives at a quicker time frame.
Any questions for Mr. Gray at this point? Okay, any other questions or discussion by the board on those two hunts before I take it out? Okay, County Advisory Board input on hunts 4111 and 4411.
I'll be quick. For the record, Corey Lytle, Lincoln Cab. The archery hunt 4111, 241 and 242. We'd like to again go from 2 to 3.
Additional County Advisory Board input.
Fernwinder, Elk County. On the 4111, we did vote to go from 25 to 80 tags, and like we discussed, we'd move those into another hunt, so.
So you'd rather keep it at 25 or?
Personally, I'd like to see that one go up maybe to 50, because we didn't add a whole lot. We didn't take all of those tags that we took from the resident into that other season. So I'd like to see the archery hunters have a chance, get a few more archery hunters out there.
So let me just be clear. So your cab input is on 4111, the regular archery hunt, to go to 70 on both of those, on 6171.
Yeah.
And area 6.
Yeah.
And then
on the 4111, and option for mule deer 1341, we went from 25 to 80. And that was a less successful hunt. So we'd taken part of those tags and put them into the rifle elk.
Okay.
That's where Mr. Moore had taken those from. But in that hunt there, and that would be, in my opinion, I would take that to 50. My own personal opinion, that's not the cat's opinion.
any questions? Additional County Advisory Board input? Public comment on hunts 4111 and 4411 in Reno, Vegas,
No comments in Vegas.
Elko.
Yes, we have a comment.
Go ahead.
Hi, my name is Shannon Scott. I'm just representing myself. I'm in Spring Creek, and I have to concur with Endow's comments about the early archery hunters contributing to the movement of elk into Idaho and reducing the chances for typically more successful weaponry classes. So I would like to see some of those archery tags tossed to muzzleloader or regular rifle season. Thank you.
Any other public comments in Elko?
No, thank you.
Right, I'll bring it back to the board. Ken, could you come back up? I think we had an additional question for you. Commissioner Moran?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. It was my understanding from your explanation earlier that you did not want to increase the antlerless archery tags for the reasons that you explained, as far as shoving more elk out of state on a low success hunt.
That was why
correct?
we dropped the archery tags from as drastically as we did. Because we do think that we see the pushing of elk out of, you know, more spread out across the landscape and into the bigger groups when they start getting pushed.
So Ken, I guess just as a follow-up, for 4111, the Elko recommendation was to come up a little bit off your 15 recommendation, but still, I guess at least for the first hunt, below. You guys would be more comfortable with 50 and 45 as recommended, or?
We would be more comfortable, but we're not gonna fall on our sword on that one. So the one that probably was a little bit more was the going from 25 to 80 with only one elk killed during that hunt, so.
Okay. Follow-up questions, we'll Ken to the microphone. All right, seeing none, any other discussion or questions by the commission this time? If not, I would entertain a motion on hunts 4111 and 4411. Commissioner Moran.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll try one here. I'll move to approve elk antlerless, resident elk antlerless archery hunt 4111 as presented by the department with the change of unit 241, 242 from 2 to 3. And resident elk antlerless elk management archery 4411, option for mule deer hunt 1341 as presented by the department.
Second. Okay, so I have a motion on hunt 4111 to go with the department's recommendation with one change on 241, 242 to raise that to 3, and on 4411 to go with the department's recommendation. Is there any question or discussion on the motion? I think just from a personal standpoint, given the explanation from the department, I'm comfortable with that. Unless there's any other discussion. Okay. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Mike, this is going to be a question for you. How do you want to handle the non-resident portions? Do we want to skip over those and give you lunch break to see what we need to do on our 10%? Like, although this is a little different for elk. Or do we want to try and plow through them now?
You know, it would maybe take me a few minutes. The challenge is the muzzleloader and archery, and we don't have a companion unit group for both residents and non-residents in those weapon classes. And we can certainly, I have to work on the statewide number, but we can probably do it in a few minutes. It's up to you.
Okay, so now the question.
I think we can try to hammer it out.
The question is to my board. Do we want to take a break or skip forward into deer? Right, it'd be a lunch. Do you guys want to take lunch today? For fear of everyone not coming back on time? I had to get one more in. Sorry. What, do you guys want to try and go through without lunch today and just get through, or do you want to try and take a lunch break?
I think Jeremy said he was buying. Get on that earlier flight.
Can't get on.
I don't think so. Suzanne said that you and our graduation and everything going on. We can look.
Okay, let's do this then. Let's take.
How about we just take a small break, like 10-minute break? I think I can.
Yep, let's take 10 minutes. We'll come back at 11:35 and we'll go with our non-resident elk.